Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, let's take a closer look at the Venthyr Rogue. Why? Because we got some sims. These are early sims for 905, however, but they are indicating that Venthyr Rogue could be a real possibility going forward in the next patch. We don't know exactly when patch 905 is going to be released, but we know it'll be in March. And we are at the tail end of February, so it seems that this could be happening very soon. Venthyr Covenant might actually be a solid choice for some of you guys and could potentially be best in slot. So I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what Venthyr Rogue is looking like, a closer look at 905 version of the Venthyr ability, and take a look at some of the interesting interactions that you might be able to perform in case this might be the Covenant you'll be playing in the future. Let's first dive into the Rogue ability of Flagellation. No, not Flagellation. Flagellation. This ability has gone through a couple different changes, but in this video we'll mostly be talking about the 905 PTR version, the one you'll be playing with hopefully very soon. Flagellation has a couple different aspects to it. First of all, it's on a 1.5 minute cooldown. When you use the ability, it has initial damage and puts a debuff on the enemy. While the debuff is up, every common point you spend into a finisher, whether it's a slice and dice, kidney shot, between the eyes, rupture, Dispatch and Venom Eviscerate, your Black Powder for Subtlety, or Crimson Tempest for your Assassination, so literally any and every finisher you can think of, it will do extra shadow damage. The damage is calculated by adding a bit of damage per comma point spent to a finisher, so roughly to say, the initial damage of Flagellation is about how much damage you will do on a 5 comma point Eviscerate. So the damage now is going to be quite high. That's one of the biggest changes. Also, while the debuff is active, it'll separately count every one of the common points you invest into a finisher, which afterwards it'll grant you a haste buff. The haste buff is determined by adding 1% haste per common point you invested while this ability was up on your target. So on roughly average, you'll get between 15 to maximum of 30% haste for 12 seconds after this ability expires. We also have a conduit that now becomes viable because it'll give you extra lashes, so that's extra free haste that you'll be able to put on the enemy. Lashes means damage, but also the damage increase also becomes a lot more substantial. So it becomes very much on a similar playground as the other covenants, their abilities, and their covenant potencies. When you play Venthyr Covenant, you also get the ability of Door of Shadows, which is kind of like a teleport ability. Think of it like as a grapple hook or heroic leap, but instead of going up in the air, you kind of just cast a spell and you teleport where you say you want the ability to go. It has pretty wide range of places you can go to with a bit of verticality out in the open world. It has a bunch of soul binds that can alter the way it plays to remove roots and snares when you use it, or give you a movement speed, or multiple charges at a slightly longer cooldown, or even disorient enemies upon entrance on top of them. So on paper, the Covenant seems like it has the ability, the main ability of Flagellation has been improved. The Door of Shadows ability is mobility, extra mobility. It does have a bit of a cast time, but if you plan around mechanics like in dungeons or raids, it can be used in order to reposition pretty quickly and efficiently, and with all the different modifiers for your soul binds, you can augment it in a variety of ways, which has practical dungeon as well as raids and even PvP uses. Plus, I'm under the mind of more mobility is never a bad thing. Whether the class has a ton of it or none of it, more mobility is always good. But I don't think you're here for me giving you a sales pitch on whether you should play Venthyr, but rather I think you guys are looking for sims. Now, these are really early sims, so nothing set in stone, and these sims could be invalid tomorrow. But if you wanted to know just how strong this Covenant is with the ability change and whatnot, this is the numbers we're getting so far. All these sims have been done on the Rogue class Discord, the Raven Hold. You guys should definitely check out the Rogue Discord in order to get some more up-to-date information. A lot of the community figures over on the Discord are very knowledgeable of rogues, so they're always there to answer questions if anybody is available. And this is the place where you can ask any question you want to, no matter how dumb it is. There's usually going to be somebody to help correct you on the right path. In comparisons for Outlaw, it does look like Night Fae is slightly ahead of Venthyr Naji on pure single target by like 8 DPS, but in the top 10, the Venthyr is actually looking quite strong. I think Venthyr is going to be quite really close with the Night Fae, Venthyr, and Kyrian, and even the Necrolord isn't far behind, where Necrolord does have an edge in that AoE generally. There haven't been any sims for the AoE counterparts for all these soulbinds and everything just yet, but looking at the pure single target, Venthyr is definitely looking a lot closer. But then again, Rogue's Covenants were within what, 2% of each other to begin with anyway, but it is nice to see that the Venthyr buffs are looking quite strong, especially the fact that they are utilizing the class, or the Covenant Conduit in particular. That's what I'm really excited to see. Either way, these are some really good early numbers for Outlaw. For subtlety, it's a little bit different and murky, because there are a couple different legendaries you can run as sub-rogue. First one is Finality, which is a much more practical legendary that works out in a variety of single target and AoE situations and cleave situations. This is the legendary that all the rogues end up building, and this is the one that rogues recommend you to craft first and invest into. Akari's Soul is technically your best single target legendary. However, because of the way that Akari's works, it is not super practical. Unless you're doing literally single target boss damage inside of a raid and it's just you and the boss and all you need is uptime, then Akari's is your best Lego, but not every fight is a patchwork fight where the boss just stands there and takes a beating. Most fights have mechanics, movement, so Finality ends up being a more of a finalized, better choice. Because we are running Finality, your Night Fae is going to be a little bit ahead, Kyrian is also going to be a little bit ahead, but Naja isn't super far behind anymore. And in fact, all these covenants are actually super close to each other, where maybe we could see some kind of a Necrolord buff in the future as well, but they're just extremely close to one another in the practical sense. So if you ended up, let's say, wanting to play Subtlety, and you like the way the Flagellation works, and you think maybe in PvP through my kidney shots and back-to-back eviscerates, extra shadow damage wouldn't be a bad idea, and you feel like you would just like the Mogs, you really, I feel like, could allow yourself to play Venthyr Rogue because you like it, but also because the differences between the Venthyr and the other Covenants would be so small, unless of course there are certain soul binds that you're looking for. And I think that's where the bigger picture would be, is more of a choice for you. But if you were to, let's go for Abyss, I still think if you're Kyrian, you're pretty safe there. Then you have Assassination, where there's actually quite a lot of benefits of playing Venthyr, but these are the sims as they look right now, where Naja actually for pure single target is looking quite decent. You also have a bunch of different changes happening to the legendaries of Assassination, where there's potentially a Gloomblade build possibility, where right now Assassination with Naja as a Venthyr with a very specific legendary setup is simming for the highest single target rogue single target DPS in 905. Again, not a finalized build, but if it were to come out tomorrow and you were to play pure single target, Assassination with this Covenant would be literally top rogue single target damage in The Sims. But there are other reasons you can play Venthyr. First of all, Flagellation gives you a haste buff, and I feel like whenever I play my Assassination, even with 905 changes, you can never get enough haste. So haste being part of your burst and also doing lots of damage with Flagellation during your Vendetta windows just sounds like an incredible amounts of damage that you could put out on an enemy. Also, the first tier ability from Naja, the first passive that from the Soulbite, gives you haste while you're in combat, which I feel like would just feel amazing to play. Of course, it'll be good, but it'll also feel really good when you get that haste proc and you get in all that great energy regeneration back to back to back. You also would have the ability to teleport, and as Assassination, you're not the most mobile out of the rogue specs. You have Subtlety with 2 Shadow Steps or Grapple Hook for Outlaw, so having that extra mobility of a teleport just to reposition very quickly with a really quick cast too, I think it actually would be quite valuable there as well. So in the very early sims, I would say that rogues are looking quite good as Venthyr, like really good. From the get-go, the rogue covenants were actually very close to each other to begin with, but with this change to the Venthyr, it makes it even harder to decide which covenant is actually the strongest. Of course, if you are min-maxing, there's probably going to be one covenant that's doing more DPS by like, what, 8 more damage? Not even 8%, by literally 8 more damage. So there's always going to be min-maxing to go for. But when the numbers are this close, I feel like Venthyr could be a viable choice, depending on your playstyle or how you prefer to play the game, or which buffs do you think you could utilize, or what you're really trying to accomplish. You could actually get some really solid numbers by the early sims from the Venthyr Covenant if that is so you chose. So if for some reason Venthyr has been a covenant you always wanted to play, but felt like it was never strong enough, 905 could be the patch where you could actually go and play your Venthyr Rogue. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed these early sims and discussion on the Venthyr Covenant. Let me know your thoughts. Are you considering going Venthyr in 905? Why or why not? Let me know thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.